This video is sponsored by MyHeritage. In this installment of Danish Things, we are talking about the most Danish foods that there are. We're gonna run through the list and let you know what we think of them. Now, the first one we're gonna cover is cakes. Cakes are such a big part of Danish culture, whether it's holidays and traditions, workplace, birthdays, of course. So we're gonna talk about cakes in Denmark.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I have gained so many kilos just in the office because every day seems to be some sort of cake day. There is the normal Kage, which is when you bring a cake for your birthday. There's my favorite, which is the Kage, which is when you bring a cake because you're going on holiday or just coming back from holiday. Basically any reason to have a cake.
Yeah, and my personal favorite type of cake is, and there are so many, is Brunsviger Kage. I hope I'm saying that right. It's actually maybe something that in the US we would call coffee cake, but it's kind of that like doughy bread with brown sugar swirls inside and a similar topping of like brown sugar. It's just delicious to me. That's my favorite cake. I think it originated on the island of Fyn.
You're just saying that so that people are convinced that we actually get out of Copenhagen now and again?
Yeah, I can hear the trolls clacking, get out of Copenhagen. But yeah, it's maybe a little bit of pandering, but honestly, it's just delicious. If you're in Denmark, make sure you try that cake. It's my personal favorite. What's yours?
The Drømmekage.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
How can you go wrong with a cake that's literally called the dream cake? It is absolutely delicious. It is everything that you love in a good cake. It is sweet. It is tasty. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a brown sugar and coconut, I think, topping. And I think also originated in Jylland. Somebody won a cake baking contest in like the 60s. With
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that part of the story.
So cake is a big part of Danish culture, and we are fully bought into that.
Another Danish thing that I like, you don't really necessarily like, is the Pølser. It's kind of funny because in the US we think there's not much more American than a hot dog, and then you come here to Denmark and you see Pølsevogn, the hot dog wagons all over every single town across the entire country selling hot dogs. And they are delicious. I know you're not a huge fan of hot dogs.
No, but I do agree that a gourmet style hot dog is super Danish, especially with all of the kind of unique toppings. I do not really like hot dogs, but I certainly appreciate the extravagance of a Danish hot dog. So if you've never had one, it's definitely a good place to start understanding a little bit of Danish food culture.
Yeah, and one of the things that surprised me though about the Pølser here is that if you go to the hot dog carts, you'll often find chocolate milk for sale. That never made sense to me until we started to look into where it really came from.
Yeah, I guess the Pølsewagen or the hot dog carts always also sold, I think, Cocio brand, which is a part of Arla, chocolate milk, and that kind of combination really took off of having a hot dog in one hand and a chocolate milk in the other. I do actually like the chocolate milk.
The chocolate milk is good. Kind of reminds me of like Yoo-hoo back in the US,
yeah.
The Cocio kind. It's really good. Now, what is funny about the Pølser, the hot dogs here, is that I'm used to in the US the classic open bun that you put it into, but instead here you have a piece of bread with a hole in the middle that you shove the sausage into. It's a little racy the first time I saw it go on.
Yeah, it definitely is a interesting visual, but yeah, it's like a round piece of bread where, and it's kind of cool because even the toppings get, you know, squirted into the bread, and then the hot dog itself is put in. It's I'm uncomfortable
the visuals,
demonstrating
the visuals there.
But yeah, it's super classic and a new twist on the hot dog for us, and yeah,
It's super good.
Now, of course, if we're talking about super Danish foods, we should maybe mention the national dish, which is Flesky Steak, which is very crispy pieces of pork, and they're served with boiled potatoes and a parsley sauce. So yeah, I guess years back, Denmark picked a national dish, and this is the one that won.
I mean, it makes sense. So the country that's got 5 times as many pigs as people, that pork is going to be the national dish. And it's delicious. The top part, the crackling, which is the super kind of fried with the way it's baked in the oven on top, it is absolutely delicious to have. What's nice is you can find places that have the little Flesky sandwich, which is a really tasty way to get a taste of the meal for lunch if you're in, say, Raffen in Copenhagen or elsewhere around town. but the actual meal is super good. It's actually one of the first meals I had in Denmark when I came over here for work the first time. Went to one of the traditional Danish restaurants here in Copenhagen and got to have the national dish the first time, and it was super good.
Yeah, and especially the sandwich is probably my favorite way to have it. Although, if you want to be super traditional, you got to get it with the potatoes and the parsley sauce and the whole package.
So good. Now, you may not think of meatballs as being specifically Danish. Again, going to IKEA's, you maybe think that Sweden's got the market on meatballs, but the Danish frikadeller are really good. Again, it's a simple meatball. It's minced meat with a little bit of seasoning and whatever brown sauce you want to put on them, but frikadeller is always super good.
Yeah, so they're like pan-fried, very flat meatballs, and super good. There's also a very Danish treat is also Leverpostej, or like liver pate. It's pretty similar to other pates where it's ground and minced pork with liver and lard and just mixed all together. I'm not big on pate, but I think it's pretty popular. You can buy it by the giant tub of it in the supermarkets here in Denmark, or you can get your Mormor's recipe and learn how to make it yourself. So yeah, 2 other things that you should try if you want to be a super traditional Danish food while you're in Denmark. And while you're digging up your Mormor's recipe for Leverpostej or any other dish, you can also take a little help from our sponsor, MyHeritage, and do full research of your family history.
MyHeritage is Europe's #1 family history service, and they provide a fun and easy way to build your family tree, discover your origins, and maybe even find new relatives. Maybe you don't know much about your family's origins. MyHeritage can help make it possible for you to find new family members and the records of your ancestors with not much effort. MyHeritage has over 16 billion records to share with you, plus some super advanced AI technology that can be used to repair, enhance, colorize, and even animate historic photos.
Yeah, I've been super lucky to actually find my Mormor's relatives who are now living in Poland and got to meet them on a trip that I took there in 2018. And I'm telling you, if you want to find some nice surprises that maybe are from your ancestors or in your family tree, MyHeritage can help make that possible for you. MyHeritage has generously worked with us to provide a 14-day free trial for anybody who's interested in checking it out. You can find the link in the description below if you want to do that yourself. And if you decide to stay with them, you'll get 50% off just for being a subscriber and viewer of our channel. So go check out the link in the description for MyHeritage today. Now, Denmark also has a very famous and kind of unique sweet tooth. You can look up the statistics, but Denmark, by per capita, eats much more candy than the average nation. And one way that they do that is with Pålægschokolade. I know I'm not saying that right, but it's basically very thin chocolates that at breakfast time you'll melt over bread. I've never really gotten into it. I actually bought them a few times at the store and didn't really know what they were. I just thought that they were chocolate. And they're tasty to eat by themselves, but I know it's not how you do it. You're supposed to melt it on bread.
Yeah, you melt it on bread. You can put some cheese on top of it, I guess, if you want. I agree with you. I'm not much of a sweet tooth in the morning, so I'd rather, I do like the more Danish tradition of taking a piece of bread, putting some butter on it, some cheese on that, and having that as a nice little breakfast to start your day.
Yeah, but if you do want to melt some chocolate, I'm not really sure the type of bread you're supposed to use, or if it's supposed to be sweet bread. It almost sounds like a sad donut to me, but it's very popular and very Danish.
Another one that's super Danish, but we really haven't gotten into, is Koldskål. So literally it means cold bowl, and essentially it's pouring buttermilk into a bowl and putting some berries or fruits in there. It's a very summertime thing here in Denmark. It's refreshing, I guess. It's not something we've gotten into. Buttermilk is a little sweet for me. I think kind of the thing that you kind of get raised with and you love and has good memories probably of being with your Mormor, but for me, it's a little bit sweet. I've tried it. It's nice, but not my favorite.
I always thought buttermilk was something that like older people like because they start to lose their taste buds and
it's more flavorful.
Yeah, I remember learning that in school. I don't know, but yeah, give it a shot if you want to try it out. Another one that we just have to mention, especially gives that unique part to the sweet tooth that Danes have, is Lakrids or licorice. And it's something that Danes really go out of their way to sneak into everything. That flavor they love. I don't know that the rest of the world does. I particularly do not. But you can find that licorice. I think Americans would call it like that black licorice or anise taste in all kinds of things. They put it in ice cream, toothpaste, liquor when you're doing shots at the bar. It's probably going to somehow taste like licorice.
The toothpaste is my favorite one, where we bought a random tub of, or thing of toothpaste, and then suddenly it's like, does this taste like licorice to you?
Yeah.
Dastardly Danes get us again.
But if you want to be super Danish, embrace it. I guess it's an acquired taste, but I have not acquired that taste yet.
No. Probably the most Danish of all Danish food things is going to be all the holiday foods at Christmas. And the best one is shown in the Julefrokost. And I'll be honest with you, Julefrokost is great. I love everything about it, but I like to skip ahead to the desserts and get in some Abelskia in particular.
Yeah, Abelskia is probably my favorite thing about the holiday season, Jul in Denmark. And Abelskia actually means like apple skins, I believe, or apple peeling. But there's not actually apple slices. I think that's what it is, actually, apple slices. There's not actually apple slices in the dessert. It's kind of like a pancake ball, maybe, if you're an American and want to describe it. I would maybe describe it that way. But they're super delicious. They're served warm. They're usually dusted with powdered sugar, and then you dip them into some kind of marmalade or it's just really, really good, and it totally reminds me of Christmas now.
Abelskia are good, but I love Ris Allemande in particular. You get the rice pudding, you get that delicious cherry topping you put on there. I can eat it straight out of the jar. And the best part is it's not just a dessert, it's also a contest. Whoever finds the one almond that's in the entire bowl gets to win an extra present.
Yeah, that present is the Heimlich maneuver so that you don't choke. It's a great thing to give somebody because they can breathe, and people love that, especially around the holidays. No, but all jokes aside, it's a fun tradition, and the Julefrokost is a really cool thing. If you want to have more details of the actual meal, all the different fish and breads and drinks that go with it, you can watch this video right here, and you can check out us experiencing the Julefrokost and sharing it with you. Warning, I made a few mistakes. I think I had herring on sourdough bread. Yep, but you can check it out right here. Don't forget to check the link for myheritage.com in the description. And thanks for watching, guys.
Hi.